Hello there guys, it's Colin here, and the folks over at Positive Grid have kindly let me have a look at their bias effects software ahead of its official launch, and I've got to say, it's a pretty cool piece of kit. Where their bias amp software focused directly on the intricacies of valve amps, this set looks at effects and pedals, and while there's a whole host on offer, I assume that throughout development there's going to be more added to this list, but there's plenty here to get you started. Now, as you'll be able to see, there are plenty of pedal boards on the factory list for you to play about with, and also you can use the Tone Cloud feature, which will allow you to download artist and user-created pedal boards. Now here I've selected a blank effects board, so I'm going to start to create my own pedal board, and I'll show you how to do that right now. This gives you the option straight away to have a dual amp setup or a single amp setup. So I'm going to go for the single amp setup for the moment to keep it simple, but if you do ever want set up 2 amps, it's there, and that's a really great option. Now the first thing I'll do is select an amp model. If I go to the amp here and hit replace, then it will give me a list of the amps that I can replace it with. Bias Effects has a whole bunch pre-installed, so you can select those, but if you have Bias Amp, you can select anything from the Bias Amp library, including any amps that you create yourself. So here I've got my CSG gain and my Big Air 333, so let's stick in the 333. And there it is. Sounds great. So let's try and build up some effects. If I go to Add Effects here, it'll give me a list of all the different types of effects that I can put in. Everything from gates, boosts, drives, EQs, modulations, delays, and reverbs. All your essentials are there. I'm going to add a drive pedal in front of the amplifier here, and if I go into the drive menu, you can see a lot of pedals that you might be familiar with. We've got some of the classics here. We've got the fuzz face, the centaur, the clone centaur, DS1, you've got the tube screamer, and there's a big muff at the end, plus others that you may well know. So let's try that tube screamer, because I really like my tube screamers. So when we want to put this into the pedal board, we just click it and drag it in to the position we want it to be. So I'm going to put it before the amplifier. So let's turn that tube screamer on, instantly we hear the gain increase, and we can fiddle with these knobs to find the settings that we like. Some are probably around about there, it's quite nice. So and if we turn that drive back off, you'll hear the difference. Now obviously with that tube screamer in front of the amplifier, now we're getting a bit of noise. So let's try putting a noise gate on there. We'll add the effects, go to gate, and we'll see there's a couple of options. A couple of MXR looking ones, and what you might recognise as a Decimator. So let's slam that Decimator in after the tube screamer. I'll turn the threshold up until the fizzing stops. Around about there. And that cuts it down quite nicely, and we'll hear again if we turn it off. Yeah. So that's working very much like the pedals work in real life. Great stuff. Looking at the modulation section here, there are a few pedals you'll probably recognise if you want to look through here, so there's plenty of stuff going on. What should I pick? I quite fancy going for an orange phaser. Bit classic, so let's drag that in there and see what that's doing. So we've got some great sounding effects in here, they're all fantastic. We've got a Boss-like analog delay in as well now, and you can change all the repeat rates and the echoes and all that stuff as you'd expect. And one of the advantages the time effects have in this over the real effects is there's a switch on all of these to switch them to your BPM, your tempo, rather than having to switch and set where you need it to do on the dial. So that's really handy feature if you want to do delays and get it in time with what you're recording. Not only has there been a lot of effort put into getting these to sound like the real effects, there's a lot of effort been put in to make them look like their real life counterparts as well. There's the Boss Fender Reverb and it looks smashing just like the real thing. Again, if you can go into any more effects and look around, even the wah-wah pedal, if I go to here and drag that in, you can change. It just looks great. Not to mention you can switch between this mode to your pedal board view and it switches in and looks like what it would look like if you had it on a genuine pedal board. Now this being prior to its official launch, I don't have a retail price for this just yet, but if you're looking at getting some sort of an effects software and amp software so you can use it in your recording, then I'd heavily suggest checking out the Positive Grid Bias Effects and Bias Amp. Using both Bias Effects and Bias Amp in conjunction provides a really powerful studio tool, and I think it's going to offer me a lot of flexibility over just having the amps and the microphones to record from. I'll do some more in-depth videos on this later, but this is just a quick first look at what Bias are doing with their effects system, and it's utterly fantastic. That's all for just now. I'll be back with more of this stuff very soon, so make sure you subscribe to my channel for that, and keep it loud, and I'll see you later.